Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. Be'ezras Hashem, Parshas Achrei Mos Kedoshim. So we're going to be talking about Kedoshim, and could we really aspire to being holy people? Is that something that we can aspire to? Well, it seems that the answer is yes, because Hakadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Gather all of the nation and tell them you should be holy." So Shema Minan, we learn from there that every one of us can be holy. Rav Asher begins by asking the question: holiness, kedusha, uh, seems like it's something exceptionally high, that it's something that could only be found among the unique individuals, people who are exceptionally uh, righteous, and those who serve Hashem in exceptional ways. But then we see in the Torah that who is the instruction, Kedoshim Tehiyu, you should be holy? Who is it aimed at? Who is it spoken to? We would think maybe it's actually only for, just one in a million. And does it really apply to regular people like us? But that's actually not the truth. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Daber el kol adas b'nei Yisrael. Speak to the entire congregation of the Bnei Yisrael and say to them, Kedoshim Tehiyu, you should be a holy nation. This mitzvah was given to the entirety of Klal Yisrael. And so we learn that holiness is within the grasp of all of us, and not just individuals and not just the greatest, but it is accessible even to the most simple people. We can achieve holiness, and not only can we achieve holiness, but it is incumbent upon us to strive for holiness and to keep moving forward, to keep progressing in holiness. One of the aspects of Avodas Hashem that we learn from Shir HaShirim is that we need to keep growing in our Avodas Hashem. We need to keep, like a tamar, tzaddik katamar yifrach. The tzaddik grows like a tamar, and the tamar is we are likened to a tamar. Klal Yisrael is likened to the date palm, and a date palm grows up high, and we see how it's continually growing each stage. We can see it clearly delineated on its stem, and we need to also keep growing like a date palm. We need to keep progressing in our avodas Hashem, and so we need to keep progressing in our holiness, and every one of us can achieve it. So if you're going to come and ask, okay, how so? How then can I increase my levels of holiness? Do I have to fast a lot? Do I have to, flagellate myself, whip myself, punish myself, do all kinds of intricate spiritual deeds? No, he says it's very, very simple. Just stay away from Tuma. If you stay away from Tuma and from anything that is Pritzus and To'eva, all of those things that the nations of the world engage in, we need to separate ourselves from them. And here it's very important that we understand that there are tremendous nisyonis in the world. And we personally are only personally responsible for ourselves. Everybody around us has their own free choice and is on their own pursuit of holiness. And tzaddik, sheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. 7 times a tzaddik is tested and falls and gets up again. So even if we ourselves are fallen, or people that we are close with have fallen, or people that our children that we're responsible for have fallen, sheva yipol tzaddik, even a tzaddik, he's still called a tzaddik, even if he's fallen 7 times, but he gets up again. And the nisyonis in this area are many. Every time we get up again, we are becoming holier. Every time we try, every time we elevate ourselves, we are back to being holy. Even if we've fallen, as soon as we get back up again, we're holy again. Ba'asher Husham, the way that this person is right now, this is a fundamental understanding of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu views us. Yishmael, who was still suffering from his offspring until this day, but Yishmael, at the time that he was judged before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, I see the lad as he is today, as he is at this moment, not who is going to come from him, but he himself today is worthy of life. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu provided a well of water for Yishmael and Hagar, his mother, and saw who he was at that point, and allowed him this miracle, gave him a miracle of the water being made available to him. And this aspect of wherever we are right now, it's not if we've done tshuva, if we or others have left behind unworthy activities, and now we separate ourselves, and separate is the operative word here. We're going to be coming back to the word separate, okay, a number of times today, because that's going to be our theme. So flagging that word here. Whenever we separate ourselves from past experiences and we take upon ourselves, we separate ourselves for the future, for holiness, we're already holy. At that moment that we've separated ourselves, we're already holy. So that's what we can do. And so it's hard. And every person, so Reb Asher says, it is hard. It's very hard. One second. As it says in Chazal, say in the Rishalmi of Yevamos, Kol mi shehu peiresh min harayos nikra kadosh. Anybody who separates themselves from unworthy behavior in the areas of intimacy between people is called a holy person. Peiresh, separates themselves. Okay, this is the theme. The theme of holiness is prishut, is separating ourselves from that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want. The idea of separating, this is holiness. And it's hard. And we have to toil in this. So if it's hard, what that means is, if we're falling, it's because there's something very hard here. It means it's not so simple. It means that if it was just so simple, then Hashem wouldn't need to give us a mitzvah. If it was so simple, Hashem wouldn't need to gather all the Klal Yisrael together and say, be holy. But the entire world is so steeped in tumah. There's so the whole atmosphere of everything. You buy a book about, I don't know, about how to brush your teeth in the secular world, and they're going to have all kinds of references that you don't want to read. It's unbelievable how pervasive these aspects have. If you want to sell anything, that's what you have to do in the secular world. As soon as you want to sell anything, you have to put all kinds of allusions to things, and you have to, you have to put pictures in everything, because that's how you're going to sell anything in this world, because that's what drives the entire world crazy. We're not talking about something simple and easy. And yet, if we are going to put in effort, and we're going to try hard. Did somebody just went on mute for a second? Okay. Then we're going to be able to be miskaber on the Yetzer that dwells within us and tries to draw us down day and night. In the morning, at night, the Yetzer Hara of a person is trying to get him, trying to take us away from holiness. Wherever we walk, wherever we go, whenever we're in the outside world, and in our own homes, we know that it's everywhere. And so, because it's so all pervasive, any geder we make, any kind of precious that we make, anytime we say this time and this space is separate, this is holiness. Okay? Be'ezras Hashem. Whenever we decide to separate something, anybody who's Pirish is called holy. Whenever we create an area of our lives that has precious, that is separated for a Kodesh Baruch Hu, this is holiness. All right? And we learned something fantastic from the Chafetz Chaim in Sefer Shmir Salashim. And again, it's a chazal, it's a well-known chazal, but the Sefer Chafetz Chaim brings it down and made it accessible to everybody. Al kol rega v'rega, for every single moment. Sha'adam chaysim piv, that a person seals his mouth from speaking lashon hara. Zoicher mekabel oragonos she'ein kol malach ubar yachol sa'er. He is zoicher when he holds his mouth from speaking lashon hara. He is zoicher to a hidden light that the malachim and any kind of creation of the upper worlds cannot even imagine the kind of light that is hidden for this individual. And the Chafetz Chaim explains, even if the next moment he stumbles and says lashon hara, even if he then stumbles and actually says that which he held his mouth with earlier, he is still zoicher to that hidden light for that moment that he was able to close his mouth. This bursts the whole bubble of the perfectionist, of the all or nothing thinking. Well, if I said it then, it means I'm a Baal Lashon Hara. No, if you held your mouth for 5 seconds, you didn't say it, and then it was miskab and you said it. For the 5 seconds, you got the hidden light that no malach can possibly fathom. You have to do tshuva on your Lashon Hara. But you still got the aragonos, you still got the hidden light. And so if any one of us is able to be pirish, to separate a certain aspect of our lives, we are holy. Oh, what if we stumbled? And what if we weren't as holy the next moment? What if we didn't keep to it all the time? We didn't lose the holiness that we gained during those moments of holiness. It's not all or nothing. It's not black and white. We didn't lose it all. That's not how Kodesh Baruch Hu looks at us. But every single moment, I'll call rega v'rega, every single moment, say Chazal. And from this teaching of Shmir Salash and how to guard our mouth, from the Chafetz Chaim, we can understand every aspect of Avodas Hashem. For every single moment of precious, for every single moment that we separate some aspect of ourselves in time or in space, in thought, speech, or deed, whatever it is, we are at that moment holy. This space is holy, as we're going to look into soon. This time is holy. Shabbos is holy because it is separated for Hashem. Anything that is pirish, that is separate, that is divided, that is cut off, that is really set aside. Let's even say any aspect of our existence that we set aside for HaKadosh Baruch Hu becomes holy. Shabbos was set aside. The Kiddush HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Mekadesh Shabbos. It was set aside for Ois Hiliol Meyad Beinoi Uveini. We sing in the Zmira Shabbos. It's a sign forever between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why it's holy. The Kedusha of Shabbos is the fact that it is a separation from us, from all of the worlds, all of the nations. Goy Shabbos Chayav Bisa. If a non-Jewish person keeps Shabbos, they would need to have the death penalty. And why? The Nesiv Shalom brings down a medrash. Maybe it's a Zoya. I'm not sure if it's a Zoya or the medrash, but I read it in the Nesiv Shalom. He says that it's like when the king is together with the queen and in their private moments, and somebody would barge in on the king and queen in their private moments. What kind of chutzpah would that be? That person would certainly be chayav misa. And so, if a non-Jew bursts in on Klal Yisrael and tries to barge in on the personal time between a Kodesh Baruch Hu and Klal Yisrael, it's a profanation of the holiness, of the segregation, of the separation. And so, in conversations I have, Baruch Hashem, many friends who have gone through Gior, who have joined us from the nations of the world, and then they remember how they used to have to just switch on off a light, whilst it was Shabbos before they actually had completed their process, because they were not allowed to keep Shabbos properly. They have to do some kind of Isur Shabbos, something that is not allowed to do on Shabbos, because a goy is not allowed to keep Shabbos. It is holy. It is separated only for the Yidden. It is an intimate relationship, and nobody else can barge in on that relationship. So whatever is separated is holy. So I want to share with you, I was thinking this week about the idea of HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Klal Yisrael, I only have, what do I have in this world? I only have the Daled Amos of Halacha. And it's very interesting, this expression. The Daled Amos means the 4 cubits. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, what do I have in this world? I have the 4 cubits of Jewish law. But the question is asked then, but 4 cubits is a measurement of space, and Jewish law is teaching. So how could there be an area of cubits of Jewish law? What does that mean? What does it mean? The aspects of Jewish law that are in cubits, right? That doesn't seem to make sense. So I saw a beautiful parish on this. I believe it was, one second, let me get back to me who said it. It's gone away from my head, but Be'ez Hashem will come back to me. So forgive me if I don't remember who actually said this. But it said like this: at whatever level we're learning something, some application of how to live Torah. The halacha means how we live, how we bring the Torah into our lives. Doesn't only mean literally halacha, but any applicable, because the point of Torah is to live it. The point of Torah is not the abstract understanding. The point of Torah is to live, la'asais, to fulfill the mitzvahs. Any aspect of Torah that we learn in order to be able to fulfill it, if we set aside a place for it, that place becomes holy. He says, during the time of the Beis Hamikdash, the Zohar says, His'ave HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'eloi dira b'tachtainim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mis'ave. HaKadosh Baruch Hu desired a dwelling in the lower worlds. And this was what led to the building of the Mishkan, and to the building of the 2 Beit Hamikdashes that were destroyed, that Be'ez Hashem will be rebuilt speedily in our days soon. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted a dwelling down here in this world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, again, what do we understand of the Hamis'ave HaKadosh Baruch Hu desired? What do we understand from HaKadosh Baruch Hu desires? We don't have a clue about what that could mean. But the result is HaKadosh Baruch Hu desires to dwell down here in this world. That's what he wants. And so this creating a dwelling for Kadosh Baruch Hu down here, after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, where Hashem doesn't have any place to dwell down here, any place that we learn the Torah, at whatever level it is, whether we're saying to him and we look up one pasuk, what it could mean. It could be on the most basic level. It doesn't mean that we need to be a Talmid Chacham learning in the Beis Medrash in order to fulfill this. But every simple Jewish woman, wherever we are, wherever we are now learning about Emunah, wherever it is, if we create an actual place for it, if we actually establish a Dalet Amos, if we establish for ourselves, here, this is the place where I learn this with this save. This is the place where I take up my Tehillim and I look up a pasuk. If I learn Shemiras HaLashon, if I learn Jewish law or Hashkafa, whatever it is that we put ourselves into, if we consciously mafresh, we separate a place to do this, we are bringing the Hashras Hashchina into our homes. That's what he said. That's what this expression means. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that all I have is a Dalet Amos of Halacha. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu longs to dwell within us in a place where every single Yid and Yidden, every single man, woman, and child who who decides to set aside for themselves a place where they can learn Torah. It might be at your kitchen table. It might be in your bed before you go to sleep at night. It doesn't matter. But if you decide this is the place where I learn my words of Torah, this is a makom hashras shechina. This becomes a holy place. We can create that for ourselves. So there's holiness in time and in space and in soul. This is a concept that the Nesiv Shalom brings down a lot. That there are three aspects in creation: time, space, and soul. The holiest time, space, and soul all together was the Kohen Gadol going into the Kodesh Kedoshim on during Yom Kippur. That's how the three holinesses come together. But for each of us, when we create holiness of time and space for ourselves, especially on Shabbos is a holy time. And if we create our holy space for ourselves in that holy time, then we are taking out the holiness of our soul gets expanded. We are attached to the holiness of our soul. As the Shimshon Hirsch said, every Jewish soul has unlimited capacity, endless capacity for holiness, godliness, goodness, and purity. We have limitless capacity because our soul is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the source of all holiness and purity and godliness and goodness. And so, of course, we can draw from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the instruction of be holy is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to dwell within us. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu longs and created the entire creation in order to dwell within us. And Shach Zetzal said that the Ikar Hashras Shechina, the main place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu's indwelling was, where the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu dwelled, even at the time of the Beis HaMikdash, was B'Sech Kol Echad Ve'echad Miklal Yisrael, was inside each and every one of Klal Yisrael. We are the Makom Hashras Shechina. We are the place where the Shechina dwells. And so this instruction of Kedoshim Tiyu, the instruction to be holy, is take steps in this world to separate parts of this world to be holy. I have a dear holy friend who has, Baruch Hashem, every single day an hour where that's her Shmur Salvation time, and she will not talk about other people during that time. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay? Does it mean that every one of us who has those holy hours in our day is capable of holding our tongue for 24 hours a day? Maybe not. But as we learned earlier, for every single moment that we hold our mouth and we don't say something, we are zecher to the Aragonas. We get that hidden light. Even if it's for 1 hour a day, we have set aside that hour. We have created holiness in time by separating, by the prisha, by the holiness of separating that time. And of course, it is going to influence the rest of the day. Of course, we're going to be less likely to speak Lashon Hara the rest of the day when we have such a holy hour in our day. If we set aside a part of our home, this is where I learn Torah. This is where I say my Tehillim. This is where I think about whatever it is, or say my Techina, or whatever it is. But and even if your home, you don't have so many rooms that you can just separate an entire room. But okay, it may also be a place where I peel my vegetables, but it's also the place where I sit and go through whatever it is that you learn or think about. Okay, whatever it is, when we set aside a space, a daled amos of halacha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be sheikh in his shechina. That's where HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring down his shechina. And this is Ratzain Hashem. This is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world in the first place. To be mashra his shechina, to draw his shechina down. And Hashem says, in order to bring my shechina here, I need you to stay away from one of those things that distance the shechina. I need you to separate yourself from the filth of the world. And there is so much filth in the world. And it's almost impossible to even walking through the streets, the tomb is going to attach itself to us. And so what's the answer? What is the way that we can do that? And the answer is through creating these pockets of holiness If we would decide, I'm going to be parish myself and become a monk and go and, live off a mountain in a cave and separate myself from all creation, we can't live like that. We can't live in society like that. Excuse me, bracha. But what we can do is we can do Kedoshim to you. We can segregate, we can cordon off, we can be pirish aspects of our lives. Certain times the way we think, certain things the way we look, certain things the way that we speak, certain actions, certain times, certain places, wherever we create a pocket of holiness, that holiness creates a place where the Shekhinah can dwell, and it brings the Shekhinah into ourselves. We might have thought, well, what difference does it make? What good does 1 hour in the day do? What good does 1 day a week do? What good does, 1 corner of my home do? It makes a huge difference. That's what this parsha is teaching us. Kedoshim to you, that for every moment, for every fraction of a moment, for every centimeter of holiness that we segregate in some way, and we in our mind, we create a prisha, this is set aside for holiness. This piece of this piece of whatever I have, this is set aside for something holy. Whenever we do that, when we it's brought down by Chazal that we should aim to have the clothing that we wear, that everything that we wear on Shabbos should be only for Shabbos. That we shouldn't wear it during the week at all. We should have our own set of everything, only for Shabbos. What? A pair, socks, only Shabbos socks. You know what? Yes, only Shabbos socks. When we have Shabbos digger socks, that, you know what that does? You know what that does? It brings holiness into socks. It's an incredible thing. I mean, I think, what? Like, really? Like, to that degree? But yes, that's where Kodesh Baruch Hu wants to be. That's what this entire world is. Everything of this world is as unimportant as socks, or as important as socks. Everything. And so if we can bring holiness into socks by having our own special socks for Shabbos, so we bring holiness into every aspect. The most highest aspect of our physical existence, meaning even the highest philosophy that we could come up with, is still lower than the lowest aspect of spirituality, of the possibility of the machshav, of the depth of the Torah that a Kodesh Baruch Hu has. We cannot fathom the heights of the heights, and so all of our existence is low down here. Even the highest things we could think of is part of this lowly existence. Hashem is me'al shamayim, not just in the shamayim. Hashem is me'al shamayim, beyond the shamayim. Hashem is the mokim of the world. Time, space, and spirituality exists within HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is fills all worlds and surrounds all worlds. He's way beyond everything that we exist in. So what that means is that nothing is too small, nothing is too insignificant for it to be able to actually be part of the holiness if we separate it and say, this is holy for Shabbos. This is my Shabbos night, pajamas. This is my Shabbos drink. This is my whatever it is that we separate for Shabbos. We bring holiness into our lives. So the Torah testifies on behalf of Klal Yisrael, on behalf of every single one of Klal Yisrael, that it is in his hands to separate himself from the tumah of the world and to become holy. And it is not a all or nothing, but it is possible with every small aspect of our lives. We create bubbles of holiness in time, in space, in thought, speech, and deed. And for all of those moments and in all of those places and in all of those aspects, we are holy. Or we might fall from those, we might get distracted, we might get confused. The Tzahara might overcome us at different times, but it doesn't take away from the holiness that's ours. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go into the chat and see your questions. 1 second. Oh, no, didn't mean to do that. 1 second. I'm going to go into the chat and find it. It takes me a minute to figure this stuff out. There we go. Okay, let's read this question that just came in here. What do you do when someone you love does not want you talking about God and they tell you that you're trying to put the religion on them? If the religion is so important to me, how can I relate to them when it is so uncomfortable not to talk? Okay, this is such an important question, and so many women have a version of this kind of question, which is, I have a need. I have a need, and I want this other person to be able to fulfill my need. The truth is, I'm responsible to fulfill my need. So you want to talk about God. You want to talk about the Torah and religion that is so important to you. You need to find the people with whom you can talk. It's not our job to impose our needs, all needs, on another person. Let's say a person has a great need. Let's say a person has a lot of triggered history, and they need to do a lot of talking to get it off their chest. It's a chesed for someone to listen to such a person, but at a certain point, a person might say, "I just, I just can't listen anymore," and that's fair enough. It's not. Nobody is responsible to listen to somebody all the time. There's a limit to how much everybody could listen, and so it is not appropriate for a person to say, "You have to listen to me." No one has to listen to me. And so if the person that you're in a relationship with and you love them, you genuinely love them, if you genuinely love them, then you must respect their wishes. And if they don't want to talk about it, then respect them, show up for them and say, okay, I understand you don't want me talking about it. I have a need to talk about it. I have to then show up for myself and find other people with whom I can share my love of Torah, my love of Hashem, my thoughts. It may be, it may demand a lot of effort. It may be uncomfortable, but that's your need. And im ein ani li mili. If I'm not for myself, who'll be for me? I need to take responsibility for my needs. And if my need is to talk about the things that I love, and it doesn't interest someone else that I love, then that's not the address. And we cannot force them to be the address. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I know that possibly wasn't the answer that you wanted. It's painful. It's painful that somebody that we love and we care about doesn't share our interest in something. But not everybody shares our interest. I go on and on about my bits of broken glass. Not everybody in my life shares my interest in my art, and that's okay. It's just one of my idiosyncrasies. Everybody has their own idiosyncrasies. And of course, Torah is so central to our lives that we really want to be able to share with those that we love. And so it's even more painful when we cannot share that as a central focus of our lives. And yet, it will be easier when we do find those places where it's safe, where our enthusiasm is shared. And there are so many places, there's so many safe, free places where we can share these days, where women can find other like-minded women to share ideas with, that hopefully that would limit the pain, and hopefully the relationship can feel like a less explosive place if we're not adding to that unrealistic expectations of the other person, because it is a little unrealistic to expect them to share all of our interests, even when they're so important as the Torah. Okay, so hope that was okay. Any other questions? If you want, you can put them in the chat. If not, then I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you for sharing this space, so I get to share these beautiful words of Torah and Rabbi Asher. And may this be a week where we strengthen ourselves in how we find even one small aspect of our lives to create a pocket of holiness, where within that pocket we are holy, and then we can change our view of ourselves, and we can know we are holy. We are truly holy people as part of a holy nation. It's more of a case of lashon hara. One second. So the person was saying lashon hara, and you don't want to listen to lashon hara, then you can excuse yourself and say, I would love to be able to stay with you, but unfortunately, I won't be able to listen to this. So I have to excuse myself. Again, always with a smile, always polite and gentle, but simply saying, I just can't be around here. Yes, people, we cannot stop other people from what they're doing, but we can choose where we put ourselves. We don't have to expose ourselves to things that we don't want to hear. And we absolutely can just say, I'm going to have to leave. And if it's in the middle of a Shabbos Suda, we can take our plate and we can go somewhere else. And that's okay. We don't have to stop them, but we can vote with our feet. Thank you, everybody. Sending love to everybody. Thank you for being here. So it's my pleasure. Good Shabbos. Holy ladies. Bye-bye, my friends.